Welcome to the Scariest Things podcast, your gateway to the tropes and trends of the horror genre. This is episode 98. We are ranking some of the best horror franchises. I'm Liz Williams, and I am socially distanced from
Mike Campbell
and Eric Lee, sitting together at the same table for the first time in a while.
I know,
huh?
But we're
reunited, and it feels so good.
3.5 feet apart, not quite 6.
We are violating our governor's insistence on some social distancing, but hey, we're like brothers, so
that's right.
It's like that's all right. You know, if we go down together, we go down together.
That's right. All in the name of horror movies.
That's right.
Yep. That is what we do for you.
Priorities.
We violate governor's orders
for you,
and we put our health at risk. All for you, the podcast listener.
So this is something that I think actually it's kind of funny. There have been a couple of our patrons in the past who've asked about, hey, why don't you do franchise horror? And I've been always one that's like, I don't know, that's a lot of movies to watch. And plus,
it is a lot of movies to watch.
And franchise horror isn't necessarily my bag. But I think it really is one of the essential components of being a horror movie fan is,
oh my God,
particularly from the 80s.
And the modern era. The modern era, yes.
Yeah, if you're in
1980 forward is chock full of sequels.
You get some sequels in the 30s too. Because it's like Son of Kong,
right,
Bride of Frankenstein,
right.
Frankenstein alone, I could have been kind of fun to run with that, but I didn't pick Frankenstein.
That's for later. That's for later episode.
Yeah. Well, our criteria was it had to be 3 or more.
Right.
So
wait, I thought Eric said 5 or more. I went with 5.
I think it was 3,
but
I've got all mine have 5.
All of mine have more.
Okay.
Yeah, all of mine have more. And actually, all of mine are multi. Film and television.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I have one that mixes in a little bit of television too.
So
don't think I do. All right, let me give you guys a quiz because I know you didn't choose any of these.
Okay.
All right.
Are you ready? How many pumpkin heads?
Oh my gosh.
Eric?
I'm going to say
Eric, you
7.
got it. It's 4. Got it. How many trolls?
4.
3.
How
many
5.
How many slumber party massacres?
2.
5.
6. Eric, you were doing so well. How many ghoulies?
7.
3.
4. How many children?
Finally, yes.
How many children of the corn?
What's the plural of children? Children.
You said 4, Liz?
4.
3.
Yeah.
10.
Oh,
what?
How many sleepaway camps?
Oh no, man, we're losing so bad.
Yeah.
I'll go 5.
You got it.
All right.
And last one. How many howlings?
6.
I know. I'm going to say 5.
8. I know. When I went through that list, I like to Eric's point. This was a very clever way of illustrating Eric's point, which is like there are so goddamn many films. Like I just counted if you went through the Pumpkinhead, Troll, Slumber Party Massacre, Ghoulies, Children of the Corn, Sleepaway Camp, and Howling franchises, you'd have to watch 36 goddamn films.
So we did establish.
I can't believe there's 10 Children of the Corn. Like where
are
all these cornfields?
I was shocked.
When are these kids ever going to grow up? Yeah.
Who's interested in that many Children of the Corn movies? I mean, it's like
seriously.
Like the first one was okay.
The first one was good, but then that would be done. I'm done.
Yeah, I didn't need more than one. So I think part of that's part of the challenge here is actually finding
good
series that either get better as they go on or had some of the I think how in your cases, Liz, how many of them end with the top movie being the first movie?
One.
Yeah.
Like of my rank of the first one being number one.
Yep.
I've only chosen two. You're right. Two of my 3 picks have the first movie as the number one movie, and my one that doesn't is going to be very controversial.
Ooh, good. I like it. I only had one. One was one. One was the first of the 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I will say, I think universally, as I was ranking these and thinking about ranking of other horror franchises, they all slid downhill after the first.
Oh yeah, for
they all like got worse and
Yes.
worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. In very limited instances, did they come back around and like with a new, super fresh idea, like in the case of the Evil Bong franchise. Evil Bong 5, which is Evil Bong High Five. No, I didn't watch.
Oh, come on.
No, I did. I will say this because we were joking about the Evil Bong series, and I was saying I was going to watch the whole Evil Bong series because there are. I can't. There's. I'll just read them really quickly. There's Evil Bong 2, King Bong, Evil Bong 3D, The Wrath of Bong, the crossover film Gingerbread versus Evil Bong 420, very clever, Evil Bong High Five, which is the 5th, Evil Bong 666, and then Evil Bong 777. I did watch about 30 minutes of Evil Bong. So I made it through 30 minutes of Evil Bong.
30 minutes into the franchise.
Yeah.
Good on you, Mike.
And it was barely passable.
Was that a full moon?
That's a full moon Charles Band production, and you can watch the entire. They dumped the entire full moon library catalog, which is chock full of franchises, and I'll use franchise in quote because it's pretty goddamn loose. On Tubi, you can watch all the Charles Band full moon stuff on Tubi. For free.
You didn't have time. You were too busy watching Wrong Turn 4
right.
and then 5 and then waiting for 6 to come out. Being like, coronavirus.
Class of Nukem High.
Come on, Wrong Turn. You can do it.
Wrong Turn. Was it the right turn all along? Had they gone the right way?
Human Centipede 3 final sequence.
Yep. Nope.
Some of them you stop and you start with the first one.
Well,
we've been touching on some really crappy ones, so hopefully we should have some.
We got some great ones here. We do. I've got some great ones.
The last thing I was going to note, and we have talked about this plenty in the past, where we talk a little bit about like how much the film cost to make versus how much the film ends up grossing, and I think it's no more complicated than that, and that's the reason why you have all these sequels. And one of the picks I have, the original cost to make the film and what it has ultimately grossed worldwide, it's like 300 times the amount. So you just like look at that simple math and you go, well, of course Hollywood is going to go back again and again and again and again and again because it's so evil. It's so simple. I almost said evil.
In a way,
it is evil.
It's so simple and evil. Yeah.
It is money grubbing Hollywood.
It is so evil.
They are. They've run when the world has run out of ideas. They turn to the sequel. And there's some movies out there, and you go, oh, please don't do. I think one that's going to be coming out that really shouldn't have a sequel is Don't Breathe.
I know.
I know. It's like why? Why? And I know that one that I think that Liz has commented on, which is being delayed due to the pandemic virus, where it's almost like, God, do we really need it? It's Quiet Place.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it because I think that the team, they brought the team back together, and one of the ways that a franchise can fall apart is if they lose the original the person who conceived the idea in the process.
Yeah.
And when that and if someone is doing it and if they cut the budget for the second one. Right. And those are some real big warning signs.
Right.
I think a franchise that I'm not picking that actually, and I think I mentioned it to you guys before in some correspondence, is Alien.
Yeah.
Right. Where they did the sequel, many people think it's better than the original. The budget was held, although you had an auteur replacing an auteur
Sure.
with Cameron instead of Scott.
Right.
And they still held the budgetary things. It was still a big budget thing, but it, even when you had Fincher and some, and then Scott again, it kind of lost some pace. And so that's interesting because that's a franchise that's tried to hold itself up pretty well, but arguably after the second one, do we really need anything more?
Right.
Right.
It's all money grab.
Because of the first couple of them have been
grabbing.
revered, but the second one, I don't think you would say, Aliens.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody would accuse that of money grubbing.
No, probably not.
No, I agree.
Or Terminator 2.
But the rest.
Right.
But then it's like, really, you're going to beat this horse again? I mean,
Yeah.
come on. I mean, I hope the Terminator franchise never ever comes back
Right.
for any more. It's played out.
All of this is
I agree.
all of this is summarized in the tagline for the for Troll 2, the Troll 2 poster, which is one was not enough.
You should have saved that for the exit tagline.
Sorry, I had to throw that out there because I thought it was essential to the conversation. But yeah, I mean, I think it's again no more complicated than that. It's easy to make money, and why do one if you can do 10?
Yeah.
20.
That's right. All right, well, let's get going. Let's get going on this list.
All right.
Eric, you want to go first? What do you got?
Go do it.
All right. Well, I am coming out of the gate with my favorite of the favorite franchise.
Wait, I don't think I even know what this
We're
is.
not going.
I'm not going 3, 2, 1 because I've still got to. My notes. I just got to do some more notes on my other one.
Uh-oh.
So I accidentally.
No more notes.
It dropped out. This is The Living Dead.
I picked The Living Dead too. So
George Romero. I thought you said you weren't going to pick something that I was going to pick, Mike.
Oh well, I didn't know what you're going to pick.
All right. Well, we'll
do it together.
So because this will help truncate our show a little bit because we've been running long.
I'll work on my John McLaughlin imitation.
So
wrong.
This is how I thought about this. Is
okay.
So through the franchise, the common threads for the Living Dead series: one, George Romero,
right,
and Tom Savini for most of it, with the exception of the Night of the Living Dead. Tom Savini is he's present in a lot of the other ones. This is the definitive shambling zombie.
Yep.
This is the concept of the zombie horde.
Right.
This is also the unstoppable pandemic.
Yep.
It is grim.
Yep.
It is minimal makeup with extreme gore.
Yep.
Headshot kills zombies.
Yep.
There's no more room in hell.
And the dead will walk the earth.
That's right. Political undertones.
Always.
And largely unknown casts.
100%.
Okay. And then I said, I also tried to evaluate.
The Tom Savini character, Blade, he later comes back in Land of the Dead. Did you know that? I don't think I ever pieced that together.
Yes.
I don't think I ever pieced that together.
I recognize that. And the other thing is that, Savini also took the reins of the directing role for the reboot of Night of the Living Dead back in 1990.
And then the military officer, one of the military officers from Land of the Dead, or in Diary of the Dead, goes on to be the protagonist in Survival of the Dead.
Yeah.
I did not know that either.
So
I watched those, but I didn't ever piece those two actors together. Because George Romero, so the other thing you didn't mention was like George Romero does not consider any of these to be sequels from one to the other. He considered them all to be sort of standalone pieces.
Yes.
Which is interesting because I consider them to just be all part of the same
universe.
Same loving horror family.
How many are there?
There are
6.
There's more than that.
Fans who are not.
There are more than that. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Whoa, wait, okay. Well, this is
right.
interesting.
So,
I only counted 6.
Okay, so part of the other...
Did you do remakes?
Yes. Reboots count.
I didn't do it.
That's part of the franchise, for sure.
Okay.
But you can sort of agree or disagree when I run through this list.
Okay.
So relative to one of the other criteria when I take a look at the various franchises I wanted to talk about was the canonical continuity within the series, and I said that The Living Dead is loose.
Yeah.
It still has all the shambling zombies.
Yep.
Romero starts poking around the edges of different kinds of things that he wanted to say about these things.
Right.
And so, but there's no recurring characters.
except for those two that I mentioned.
Yeah,
Yep.
And you do get a complete almost note for note reboot of Night of the Living Dead.
Right.
And then the reboot of Dawn of the Dead is different,
Yeah.
thematically similar, but it's different characters for
Right.
sure.
Okay.
So there's that. I said that the influences that on Romero was Herschel Gordon Lewis, Blood Feast, Taste of Blood,
Sure.
White Zombie, I Walked with a Zombie, The Plague of the Zombies, which was the
Yep.
old the British stuff,
Right.
and also directly he had mentioned that the story of I Am Legend by Matheson
That's right.
was
Yep.
directly played in. Are there any other influences that you know of that Romero really leaned on?
Well, I know. I just recently just watched. There's an interesting documentary with Tom Savini on Shudder that I think it's a Shudder original that they just posted. I think it is. He talked a lot about his influences in making those films, and he was mostly just influenced by the monster movies,
Right.
From the 50s and 60s. I
Right.
mean, that was like his foundation, and I'm guessing George Romero was probably the
Right.
same. I mean, not altogether that different. Although there is a good documentary that I haven't seen in quite some time called "Documentary of the Dead."
Oh.
And it's probably done 20 years ago, 20 or so years ago. And George Romero is interviewed extensively in that and talks a lot about his influences in total.
Right.
And that's a really good. It's a really, really great watch. I do recommend.
So for
folks-
Romero fans out there, check that out.
Document of the Dead.
And so then the direct influences I have is all zombie movies,
Right.
but most specifically Zombie by Fulci,
Yep.
Shaun of the Dead, The Walking Dead,
Yep.
Return of the Living Dead,
Yep.
The Evil Dead, Shockwaves, City of the Living Dead.
Even though Return of the Living Dead, that was when they like George Romero and Bannon had they basically said they're not doing. They had separated themselves at that point.
But this is
it was an influence for sure. But
yeah.
but Bannon was he was very much a part of the original product, and
Right.
then he separated himself
Yeah.
out as a wholly different thing.
Yeah.
And went a very different direction. All right. So what's the worst? We're going worst to best, best to worst.
Worst to best.
Okay.
Bottom of the stack, Day of the Dead Bloodline, 2017.
I would agree with that.
I have next on the list, I have Diary of the Dead 2007. I really did not like that movie.
That was my least favorite as well, even though I could tell that was the one, Diary of the Dead. He was really trying to key in on sort of the burgeoning social media and
social media stuff.
social media and internet live streaming, and I think it was a pretty clumsy attempt for a variety of reasons.
Nothing memorable.
No. Okay, what do you got next?
Survival of the 2009.
That was what I had next too.
Yeah.
All right, we're in sync.
Yeah, and I
That although that could easily be, I mean,
that could have fallen to the bottom too.
that's a toss up. That's one where they end up going to the
island.
the island run by two families, one of which is Irish, which makes no sense.
They all had these really over the top Irish accents. They're as bad as my Aussie accent, right? I mean, they're identifiably Irish accents, but they're not convincing. And it's like he wanted to do a Western.
Right.
He wanted to do the Hatfields and the McCoys.
Right.
But it's the Muldoons and the Flynns. I forget what the name of the
Something like that. Yeah.
But yeah, that was a hot mess. And trying, and it was just a mess. I didn't really like it that much. Okay.
What's coming in next?
Okay, so now we're getting into some of the better stuff.
Okay.
I have the Night of the Living Dead reboot, 1990.
Okay. I could go with that.
And then here's probably my most controversial one that I'm going to say, Day of the Dead, 1984.
Oh, we're in sync.
In sync?
I put Day of the Dead next to as well.
Okay.
All right. I like it.
Land of the Dead, 2005.
Oh my goodness.
I really enjoyed that one.
Oh my goodness. Yep, we're there. We're there.
Because I thought that was particularly with. I think the storytelling in that was fantastic.
The storytelling is great, and he really reached back to the original Dawn of the Dead and like really tried to ape that exact same construct but bring it into the modern era. And it was done right around the time of the Enron collapse and just like horrible.
Yeah, this was
like,
corporate. This was corporate greed. Was what was his political
Yep.
thing, and the haves and the have-nots.
Yep.
We got Dennis Hopper as a great villain.
Yep.
That's probably the biggest name in the whole series,
Oh yeah, for sure.
with maybe the exception of the Candyman in the reboot in 1990.
Yep.
But I think Hopper's a bigger name than any of them. He probably had the bigger. They
yeah.
cut him a bigger check than anybody else, probably too.
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
So
All right.
after that, then I go to the 2004 Dawn of the Dead Snyder cut.
I could go with that.
Okay.
Oh my God, we're like
in sync.
note for note.
Night of the Living Dead 1968,
Yep,
and then closing out Dawn of the Dead 1977.
100%.
All right, there,
Yes.
buddy. Yes.
Boom.
Smack. No touching because we're coronavirus.
Don't wash your hands. Yeah.
So
No, I would agree with all of those. I mean, I think that's exactly how it. I think that's exactly how it unfolds. It's really, I mean, frankly, it's really Dawn of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead, and then everything else below that sort of pales in comparison to those two.
yeah, and I think that there's something about the way that the first two stories unfolded that got you really involved in the my love of character development.
Right.
There may be no single better character in the entire series than Ben.
Right.
But the Coopers were interesting in Night of the Living Dead. I think the sadness of Dawn of the Dead, I think was is prevalent, and I think Snyder just killed the sequel
Oh yeah.
and gave you some things like the zombie birthing scene was blah.
There is, like, if you watch the European version of Dawn of the Dead, though, there's a pregnancy scene
Ooh.
in the European version
Ooh.
of Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah,
The 78 Dawn of the Dead.
I'm trying to put my finger on why, because Romero was involved with all of these except for Day of the Dead Bloodline and the Savini reboot. He directed the rest of them.
I think he had some very light involvement in the Night of the Living Dead reboot, if I recall
Yes,
correctly.
I think he produced it.
Yeah, something like that. And I think he was like lightly involved.
But why do you suspect that it fell apart down? Why, he was still using the same kinds of stories and the same kinds of, the political, his desire to make a statement. Why did the other ones fall flat?
I would say, again, much like it's no more complicated than, the reason why these studios keep banging out these films. I think it's no more complicated than, sometimes you just need to know when to
say when.
When to say when. And most people don't like to hear that they're not important.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but it's true.
Survival of the Dead was like, you could say there were some elements where it's like, it's like there's just you could see all the red shirts lined up.
Yeah.
And you just knew that they were just going to be zombie chow.
Right.
Where I think I was surprised at how well Land of the Dead gave you a large cast of characters and stuck with them, and you didn't lose everybody.
No.
Right. So, anyways, I found that compelling.
Yep.
So that's our completely in sync.
Completely,
on
100%.
the
No
Living
disagreements.
Dead, largely the Romero zombie movies. Clearly, it's not a near and dear love to Liz.
Yes.
No.
But we will let Liz venture forth on the next one. So, Liz, why don't you go ahead and you give us your franchise number 3?
I'm going number 3. And this one is, we actually mentioned it 2 weeks ago, and it kind of sparked me to rewatch it, and especially with what's going on right now. And I picked the Purge franchise.
Oh,
okay.
Hell yeah.
So, for people who don't know, here's a little recap of the Purge. In 2014, the new Founding Fathers of America, which is a totalitarian political party, are voted into office following an economic collapse. They pass a law that sanctions an annual purge, which means that for 12 hours each year, all crime, including murder, arson, theft, rape, is legal during that period, except against government officials, of course. And there are no emergency services available from the beginning of the purge until 7 a.m. And in 2022, which is the start date of the first Purge movie, the United States has become virtually crime-free the unemployment rate has dropped to 1%, and ostensibly it's because of The Purge. So the original Purge film was written and directed by James DeMonico, and he said that he got the idea for it after he had a little road rage incident of his own and created. So he got with his buddies, Ethan Hawke and Jason Blum, and said, will you help make this movie happen? And in the original Purge, Ethan Hawke plays a guy who sells security, I guess you would call them purge shutters instead of hurricane shutters, ways to lock down your house to not participate in the Purge. So that is my first of the Purge films, my number one. So the first one is my number one.
Okay.
My second film in this of my choice is the third installment, which is called The Purge Election Year, which is we're out on the streets, but it's during an election to see if the new founding fathers are going to stay in or stay out. And my third is Purge Anarchy, which is the second film.
Yeah,
which
that's my favorite of them, actually.
Yeah, took the Purge out of a house and put it out onto the streets of L.A. And you can 100% tell, and DeMonico cites that he was incredibly influenced by John Carpenter's Escape from New York.
Yes.
And he wanted a little bit of the Warriors flavor in there.
Yeah.
So you've
100%,
definitely got that. And you also have Frank Grillo, who is one of my favorites, coming in as a LAPD cop who, of course, is going to protect and serve because he's Frank Grillo.
Interestingly, I think that the John Carpenter link, I think the first one was almost like Assault on Precinct 13. But a lot of
100%.
A lot of home invasion movies are like Assault on Precinct 13, but it has that kind of batten down the hatches, defend your property against just lunatics who want nothing to hurt you. They don't really have any other. There's no other real motivations other than it's just no holds barred. We're just going to chaos.
Yeah, it's legal. Why not? So then my number 4 pick in the franchise is the 2018 film called The First Purge. And then rounding it out is the Purge TV series that started in 2018 and is still currently running. It's not bad, but for the movies. They are also working on a new film. It was slated to come out in late 2020, but who knows when we will see that. And its tentative title is The Forever Purge. I don't know if that's not really a great title, but we'll see. So
the Purge series,
we'll see if we get the Forever Purge.
I would be interested to see where they place this in the timeline, because one of the things about the Purge is that it tends to hop around prequel, sequel kind of things. The first Purge, of course, being the original concept, and the most blatantly kind of stiffly political. I like what they tried to do with the first Purge, in that it was sort of a who benefits from this, but it had a bit of kind of the same way that we just talked about with the Romero movies, when the political message was a little ham-fisted. And it's like,
this one is slapping you in the face.
You cannot miss it.
Of the have and have-nots.
It is wearing jingle bells and Christmas lights coming at you, going, look, political message.
Light up, some of the Purge people.
It's kind of woke.
The fun thing about the Purge is also the costumes when you see, because people then, of course, get real excited for Purge night, people who are going to participate. And that's always the line of, what do you do? Are you going to participate? If it's self-defense, hey, it's still legal. It's a morality play.
I thought it was still effective.
And,
I think both Mike and I reviewed
super effective.
This. I kind of give it a C, like a 2.5. I think the first Purge.
I think I liked it. I think I liked it a little bit better than you. I did.
I'd give it like C+, B-.
First
Purge. I mean, I think that they're creative. They keep current. While they're still traversing the same territory, they always do add something, or you do want to know, hey, how did that even happen? So I really, really enjoy these films.
Yeah,
of course, they're Blumhouse, so
I think that's what's so great about
money.
Yes, and I think that's what's so great about them is that they have that sociopolitical subtlety that they can sort of stay with the times no matter what the times are, because it's ultimately a reflection of what's going on in society. Like, arguably, 2020, we are actually living the purge.
And I think there were cities that were like playing the purge siren when they were telling, like they were having curfews. And I was like, I don't.
Yeah, we're literally living
not
the
in
purge
on that joke, but that's a little,
with a totalitarian regime that is trying to kill all of us.
Yep, it is. We're living in the purge, so it's just timely.
Yep,
timely right now.
Indeed.
All right, so let's see.
Mike,
Eric, what's your?
I led off, and Mike and I agreed, so I'm going to give Mike the opportunity.
Oh, that's okay.
All right. I in that case, I am going to a franchise that is a relatively new franchise. This is the American supernatural horror franchise, Paranormal Activity.
Oh man! Okay,
I knew you were going to pick this.
Again?
We collided again, but I've got backups.
I like it. I like it. All right, so this, of course,
I did not pick this because I knew you were going to pick it. I 100% agree, but
I think this
we'll
also
see if we rank the same.
Okay,
this goes to where Mike and I have to retreat to when we go to franchises.
Yes.
I think there's something to be said about this. But
yes,
I have some backups. So
how many films are there though? Just so we're in sync.
I think there's 4.
I counted 6.
6.
Oh,
yes.
Are there really?
Yes.
I stopped after 4. It was so bad. I said, nope. I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3.
As well, you should. As well, you should. Yeah. Stop after 6 because there ain't much after. After.
Although
4.
I think I'm going to have a disagreement with Mike on this. I think I know there will be.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So this is actually what makes actually collisions interesting.
Indeed.
For this podcast is where we can compare and contrast notes.
That's right. So for those of you who are not in the know and who have not been watching the Paranormal Activity franchise unfold since 2007, the films are based around a family who is haunted by a demon that stalks and terrifies and ultimately murders several members of the families. And the whole series uses production cameras set up like security cameras or recording devices in a way that presents all of the films together using a whole series of different devices to made and look like they are found footage.
Yep.
And sometimes it succeeds really well. And much like we were just talking about with The Purge, where, The Purge always trying to adapt and get at these different like societal, sociopolitical, societal subtleties. I think Paranormal Activity is doing the same thing, but with a technological bent, because it's some of the in 2007, social media was a lot less prevalent. But then when you get into some of the later films, you start to get social media, FaceTime, live streaming, et cetera, starts to play more and more of an active role. So that's kind of interesting as well to see that unfold. So, and this was, of course, the series. It was not 300 times. It was 30 times. Yeah. So the series as a whole has earned over 30 times the overall budget for the 6 films.
I think one of the I again did sort of common threads for these things. One of the things is minuscule budgets.
Yep.
And this is the Blumhouse model of, hey, do it for $1 million or less.
Right.
And it doesn't. You can do however you want to do this. Run with it, because there's very little risk, and this thing has become like one of the super most profitable franchises out there. It's actually surprising that we've only had 6 of them, considering how much money they can have out of this.
Funny enough.
Yeah, but I think that like Ghost Dimension, the marked ones, everybody said sucked so bad, and then they did that one that came after. It was I didn't even see.
So yes,
Mark Dimensions, Mark ones. Yeah, we'll get there.
It's funny that both of you mentioned that, because after Ghost Dimension, Jason Blum later said and confirmed that this would be the last in the film series. And I quote: "This is Jason Blum said, it is coming to an end. This is it. This is the finale. We're saying it before the movie opens. We're not going to grind this horror franchise into the ground. We will keep Paranormal Activity as part of this culture and this particular time in a really fantastic way."
And if you believe that lie, because
The seventh
No way.
film, was just announced to be in development and possible release in 2020.
right. So now is that also a Blumhouse thing?
Assumedly, I
They're
think
not going to give that up.
I think they still, I think they still own that whole shebang.
This is a cow made of cash with cash in its belly and poop and cash.
That's right.
So this is
Yes.
like cash cow squared.
Yes.
But
All right.
that's I think the continuity of this franchise is interesting
It is.
because Katie Featherston,
Yep.
who was our lead, we only had Mika and
Right.
Katie in the first
Right.
movie.
Right.
For obvious reasons, Mika's not in the second one.
Right.
Katie kind of shows up, and then you go back in time to when she was a kid with
Right.
her sister, who was the mom in the second movie.
Yeah.
and that's in the third one. And then
Too many spoilers.
that's not really spoiling anything. I mean, it's like
Kinda.
I mean, well, other than that Katie, it's like saying that, hey, Freddy Krueger survives from movie to movie. That's not how it happens. And then, but then they try and they this ship, as it's beginning to fall apart, they still try and keep all the references tight. They will have flashbacks. I think
Right.
one of the issues with the last one that came out was that it was
Ghost Dimension.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ghost Dimension is
It's
took a lot of footage from
It's
the
found
other
footage
ones.
of found footage.
Yes, and it was like, hey, I found this camera in the garage,
found
and
this
look,
footage.
it just happens to have the video footage from that. And
I found footage of found footage.
I really like how they tried to do. They took the stationary camera and made it powerful.
Yep.
And it's also so cheap.
Yep.
You need
Yeah.
you just and then I really liked in the second movie where it was security cameras.
Yep.
That the conceit still holds. The conceit falls apart though the further you go into the series, because then it's like you're forcing it.
Right.
You're just jamming this thing down our throats. That's like this.
They're
It's
trying.
like how many
They're
times do
trying.
we have to go through this? And I think Rec
Yeah.
suffers the same kind of a thing. It's like
Right.
how many times are we going to deal with the news photographer
Although
camera eye view?
Rec 3 is not bad. All right, so let's get down to the list. All right. So the worst in the Paranormal Activity series is number 6, Paranormal Activity, The Ghost Dimension from 2015.
I have Paranormal Activity, the marked ones, 2014.
All right. This, of course, involves the Fleegies, a family of 3 who relocate to a house in Santa Rosa, and they discover found footage of found footage. I have number 5, Paranormal Activity, the marked ones. Now, why did you like the marked ones? Why did you like the marked ones better than, or worse than, Paranormal Activity, the Ghost Dimension?
I thought actually the Ghost Dimension had a couple of. I liked some of the support. I liked the brother. I thought that
He was okay. Yeah.
and
he was kind of goofy. Yeah.
the kid actor. I mean, I didn't like either of them. I could have. It was a bit of a coin toss.
Right.
Well, no, I take that back. I actually liked the Ghost Dimension. All right.
Okay.
The marked ones was boring.
And it was
it
was a complete departure from. I mean, it really felt like far afield. Like they were really trying to branch out and do something different. And then when the Ghost Dimension came around, it was like they were trying to bring it back into the fold again.
right.
Yep.
All right.
All right. So next on the list, Paranormal Activity number 4, 2012.
So that was my next to bottom. So yeah. So I think we're sort of in concurrence there.
Okay. Yeah. This one focuses on the family in Henderson, Nevada. And this is the one that
They use the Xbox.
Yes.
Is this where it's boys?
Yes,
This
this is the boy.
That's the
Yeah,
first one where it's a boy.
And the little boy that lives next door, Robbie.
Yeah.
I think,
Who
yeah.
is actually there's a spoiler involved with who the little boy is.
Yeah, so they use
Right.
they use
The boy from the baby from 2.
That's right. Yeah, so they use the MacBook webcams, video camera, iPhone camera, and then the Xbox Connect technology.
AKA we're going to take this idea and jam it down your throat.
Yep. All right. So next, getting better. 2011's Paranormal Activity 3.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's the flashback to Katie and Christy.
Yep.
As little girls.
Yeah.
With the
Yeah.
best scene being the pan back and forth of the camera.
Yes.
That was great.
Yep. I love that one. Yeah. And the little girls were, the way they set up the little girls and everything and showing them through the time lapse and showing them sort of screwing around at all hours of the night. I mean, even the trailer for Paranormal Activity 3 is terrifying.
Yep.
All right. Next on the list, this might be the controversial part. Let's see, is the original Paranormal Activity.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Eric and Aaron.
I disagree.
Oh,
Liz!
You think
Yeah.
you say number one? is the
I go straight in order for these in the best, because you have to have number one to have number two.
Right. You
I don't know.
you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yep, because I stopped at 4, so I haven't seen 5 or 6.
I found 2
I'll
the
take your word
scariest.
on those two.
What's that?
I found 2 was the scariest one. And I think
I did too.
it had. I think that they had found their groove, and that you had a larger family that you're dealing with, and the dog.
Mm-hmm.
I think that
The dog and the baby.
the dog and the baby, and
the two of those things really like bring you into the story and like tug at your heartstrings.
super vulnerable.
Super vulnerable. Yeah, a dog and a baby. Even though the dog's like a hulking German Shepherd.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah, I just think that the first one's like an almost perfect horror movie.
It is.
it is. Yeah. I'm not saying that the first one is bad. I really liked the first one.
Yeah. It's close, but yeah, I think it's just more scary. It is more scary.
Yeah,
More scarier.
More scarier. All right.
more scarier.
All right. Who is going next? Eric, we're back to
You
you.
guys
Well,
crossed over.
so
back to you.
Yeah, we're kind of because
Do you
we're
need a
colliding.
second, Eric?
No, I've got it. We're going because I had
Okay.
I kind of figured I might collide, so I had some backups.
I knew
We're colliding all over the place.
This is a one that clearly you guys won't pick.
Uh-oh.
This is Predator.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't going to pick Predator.
Yeah, I'm not picking that.
So I got here.
Crickets.
Yep. Common threads here: action horror, alien hunter with terrific camouflage technology, mano a mano macho posing, lots of gunplay, cool night vision effects. This is a Schwarzenegger touchstone. It's a motley crew of interesting characters who will all die, and they are all quotable.
How many Predators are there?
That's true.
There are 6.
What? Did you count Alien versus Predator?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, that's part of the franchise.
It's part of the franchise.
Okay.
It's also the weak part of the franchise. So the canonical continuity within the series is pretty loose. There's
I think you just want to say the word canonical.
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 They're apart from the monsters. Well, actually, there's no really returning characters because the monsters usually die and they don't come back, or you don't see them again because they're on their own planet. There are some kind of references to Dutch and his team in some of the other movies that say, well, back in '87 when we sent in a team of commandos to go check it out, and that's Schwarzenegger,
Right.
But really, there's the monster's still there, and the series suffers from some repetition. But I like kind of the way. I actually think that none of these reach the highs of the great horror movies, but they don't hit the bottom. They don't bottom out. I think it's one of those series that actually holds up pretty well as you go. Like the most recent one is actually a pretty decent movie. It's not great.
That was the one that came out in 2018?
Yeah, Predator, and it's was it Black directed that thing, and that guy can write a script and are funny. That is funny.
Yeah.
It's got a great cast. It's just killing my numbers, and so I mean the movie, the plot wise, it didn't do anything, but it was fun. I mean it had some but I'll kind of get to some of that stuff. Movies were influenced clearly by Alien, The Most Dangerous Game, and The Terminator. And contemporary movies include Aliens, Platoon, Rambo, Universal Soldier.
Yep.
Direct influences of Predator: Blade, John Carpenter's Vampires, Pitch Black, 13 Assassins, Starship Troopers, Species, and Dog Soldiers. All of these are action horror movies with dudes with a lot of bullets and making noble sacrifices and doing that kind of shit. And I think this is so. The Alien, my rankings go as follows.
All right.
Aliens versus Predator Requiem, boring. really boring.
That's the one that takes place in the space alien pyramid thing.
No, that's the next one.
Oh, okay.
This one's even worse. This one is aliens versus predators battling it out in the suburbs. And it's like, and the predator's your buddy. And it's like, no.
Eric
so
says
that was 2007.
no to 2007's Alien versus Predator.
AVP, the first Aliens versus Predator, based loosely on the Dark Horse comic down the road in Milwaukee here in near Portland.
That's the one that takes place in the space.
That's in the pyramid. This is it's a cookie cutter action horror movie. It's PG-13, so it's bloodless. You kind of want to see there's some good sort of action sequences between the alien and the predator, but it feels like a video game. Not surprising, it was also based on a video game based on a comic book.
I remember watching it and just at the time thinking, everything is so dark. I can't follow a single piece of action. I don't know what's happening.
No, it's like Transformers. It's not. Neither of these movies are very good.
Turn your thinker off.
And now we get to ones that I actually enjoyed. Well, then there's the Predator from 2018, which I talked about.
Right.
And it's got.
Adrian Brody, was that the Adrian
No, that's
Brody
not
one?
that's not the Adrian Brody one. In fact, I'm going to have to do sort of the Predator.
They're just making predators all over the place.
Yeah, well, and that was
just putting them out.
And some people said, "Do we really need to do this?" And the answer was, not really." But it wasn't a bad movie.
Let's do it anyway.
Hollywood said Eric's still alive, so
so
that's one ticket.
But it's got Keegan Michael Key, it's got Thomas Jane, it's got Sterling K. Brown, Olivia Munn, Alfie Allen, who is from Game of Thrones. He's the
Theon
Greyjoy, Jake Busey in it because his dad was in the second one.
That's right.
Boyd Holbrook is your lead, and he's probably the least distinguished of these guys. But what you get is this is the pattern of the Predator movies. You get a great bunch of these sort of B-list or actors who aren't quite the A-list, but they have a decent budget, and the Shane Black script was banger. It was funny. These guys really worked well together. The downside was that the movie wasn't particularly original.
All right.
Okay, moving on. Then I go to a movie that is much maligned, but I still have fond memories of it, which is Predator 2, which is the Danny Glover movie with Bill Paxton in it.
That's right. Yeah,
and one of the best horrible movie chunks that is still super entertaining, which is the Gary Busey in the meat locker. Which is like, he is chewing not just chewing the wallpaper off, he's just, he's doing it till he's raw in the face. And he's glowering and he's doing a lions and tigers, oh my. It's like this kind of over the top Gary Busey, as if there's any other version of Gary Busey.
Right.
But Danny Glover is great. This one's in L.A. Where the alien comes to town, and there's some sequences that I love, which is like the Predator versus the Voodoo Posse, which I enjoyed. So there were some. It's cheesy. Morton Downey Jr. shows up in it.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it is very much a '90s movie.
All right.
Then we get to the Adrian Brody movie, which also has Mahershala Ali in it.
What year did that one come out?
That
Predator.
The Predators was 2010.
Predators. Okay.
And this one was, instead of actually us finding the aliens on our planet, this was the aliens capture a bunch of bad hombres who are from military or criminals or the most violent people they could find on Earth, and they take them to their planet to hunt them. And there are some funny bits where you kind of wonder, hey, this guy, the doctor, why is he here? And that is, so this is Topher Grace, not a particularly imposing looking dude,
right?
And you're going, what's up with him? Walter Goggins, is a great psycho.
I love him.
Lawrence Fishburne's in this. Danny Trejo's in this, which is great.
Oh my God!
They've got a guy who's a yakuza, Luis Ozawa, Mahershala Ali before he became Mahershala Ali, plays a Nigerian death squad guy. there's a big Russian guy. I mean, they had, so again, just like the first Predator movie, there's a Alice Braga. This time we have a female badass,
right?
And she's a Israeli Spetsnaz. So right,
yeah.
And of course the Predators come down and hunt them and take most of them out.
Right.
Fun. I really enjoyed it. Big budget, not but it kind of got rolled over because it's never going to be a great movie.
Yeah.
But it reminds me, it's probably the closest in feel to 1987's The Predator, featuring two governors.
Right.
Which
Jesse
of course,
the Body.
Yeah,
Jesse the Body.
Jesse the Body Ventura and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Who knew? And you got a third guy, the guy who played Billy, the Native American guy, tried to run for governor. He also dabbled in like some softcore porn or something like that. But there are some great lines, and this was where Shane Black actually did. He was also in the movie. But you get Jesse Ventura going, "I ain't got time to bleed." These kinds of these great.
All right, run us down the list again.
Okay, that's it. Oh, that was it. Okay, so from
quickly,
Aliens versus Predator Requiem, Alien versus Predator, The Predator, Predator 2, Predators, and Predator. And I know that we had promised that we weren't going to extemporaneously talk about these things, so I'm out.
Predators.
Predator. This is one where the first movie was the best, but by a small margin over the 2010 Predators movie.
Gotcha. All right, who's next?
Liz.
Okay. My next franchise needs really no introduction, so it is the Exorcist franchise.
Hey.
Okay.
So I have got 6 pieces of this franchise, and I mean, everybody knows the story of the Exorcist. Reagan McNeil getting exorcised by Father Marin with the help of Father Karras. Stairs, Georgetown, DC, Pazuzu. There you go. Exorcist in a nutshell.
Yep.
So, number 6, my choice for the worst in the franchise is Exorcist 2 from 1977. That's going to be
disagree.
Universal. Really?
Wholly disagree. Yes.
I'm trying to figure out what the other 3 are. I'm only familiar with 3.
All right.
WHOLLY and HOLY. Disagree.
Holy.
Right.
Holy and holy.
Exorcist 2 I have as the worst.
Okay.
Number 5 and number 4, because I got to kind of say them together because they're pretty much the same movie. Number 5 is 2004's Exorcist: The Beginning, made by Rennie Harlan.
Yep.
And number 4 is the remake of that one from 2005, because that one wasn't good enough, by Paul Schrader, Exorcist Dominion, which is they're both a direct sequel to the original Exorcist.
And they are
number 3
garbage and garbage.
They're not very good. Yeah, but
so this is another case of diminishing returns.
Yes.
Although actually not quite.
It's like a horse race. One of them won by a nose there.
Yep.
They are not great. Stellan Skarsgård plays the young Father Marin, and it takes place when he finds the Pazuzu statue in Egypt. Okay, number 3, I have the TV series that ran from 2016 to 2017 on Fox.
There you go.
The first season is in D.C. with an exorcism, and the second season kind of goes off on a little bit of a tangent, starring John Cho and some hauntings. And you got 2 incredibly sexy, hot priests in this show, ladies. No. All right, here's where the controversy comes in.
Hey, Liz, wasn't Gina Davis or somebody? We had a big actress.
She was.
Yeah,
Gina Davis was the star of the first season of the Exorcist TV show, and then the second was John Cho.
Okay.
So here's where my controversy comes in. Number 2, ranking in the Exorcist franchise, is the original Exorcist from 1973.
Bum, bum, bum.
And number 1 is the Exorcist 3 from 1990.
Wow.
That is my ranking.
Shocker.
I think
The Exorcist.
That was one of the there was a movie called The Canon, to bring up that word again.
Yes.
That was going live at the Overlook.
2 years ago.
2 years ago, where they debated directly Exorcist versus Exorcist 3.
Yeah.
And which is, a lot of people went hot take.
Yeah.
Because I think The Exorcist is in the AFI. It might be in the AFI top 100 movies of all time.
It is.
And they were saying,
Yeah,
well, maybe
is.
The Exorcist, but The Exorcist 3 would give it a run for the money.
Right.
I think, Mike, you've described Exorcist 3 as being scarier than Exorcist.
I think it is. Yeah.
Oh,
I think
for
it is.
sure.
I think it is for sure. Yeah, I think a lot of people slept
So
on Exorcist 3.
I want to know where you put Exorcist 2, which is literally one of the worst movies ever
Well,
made.
I did not watch the TV show, even though I really want to watch the TV show, and I just haven't gotten around to it.
It's very good.
Because I know Ty West actually directed a bunch of episodes in the TV show, which
It's only, and it ends. They didn't renew it, unfortunately, after season 2, so it's not like you have to watch 50 episodes of TV.
Right. Yeah, no, I really want to watch that. So I kind of agree with you, Liz, like in terms of swapping the 1 and 3, but I think 2 was actually better than 4 and 5. I thought 4 and 5 were just complete garbage.
I didn't bother with 4 and 5.
Yeah, you and I watched one of them. I can't remember which one.
Oh God, I totally.
It's almost
you
impossible
delighted
to
that.
remember which is which.
I know.
They're totally the same.
I know, because that was just that whole process was just a complete mess.
This is where the middle-aged long-term memory not helping me.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it didn't make an imprint.
Yeah,
I will say that much.
No, I still like, and you can read my review of The Exorcist 2 on the Scariest Things website, scariestthings.com, 1T. There was just some I love the soundtrack, I love the score, I love sort of some of the psychedelic elements to the film, recognizing that the film largely is kind of a jumbled hot mess. I thought there's some kind of interesting things in the film.
Yeah.
I did not like it.
I think that's a contrarian position, Mike. I'm not in agreement there. I thought it was a hot mess.
All right. Moving on to my last franchise. This, of course, is a franchise that has grossed, the 11 films in the franchise have grossed $620 million. What? $620 million.
11 films?
Yeah, this horror franchise also consists of novels, comic books, merchandise, and a video game. These 11 films focus around a serial killer named Michael Myers.
Okay.
Who was committed to a sanitarium.
Oh boy, you're going to rank all of these things.
Yes, for the murder of his sister, Judith Myers, in Haddonfield, not Indiana. I misspoke earlier, or misspoke
Illinois?
on the last podcast. Haddonfield, Illinois. Yeah, so most of these are sort of linked together, although I would encourage folks, if you do have an extra second out of your day, if you look at the Wikipedia page, there's a great infographic that sort of shows you, it's an illustration that shows you exactly how the films are linked and not linked, which is kind of interesting. Yeah. So
because it's twisty.
It is kind of twisty for such
and it has Rob Zombie.
I know. For such an unbelievably simple construct, it is kind of twisty. So I'm going to work you through those twists and knot holes, starting with the worst of the 11 films. Coming in at number 11 is Halloween 2, the 2009 version, the American slasher film, written and directed by Rob Zombie.
Agreed. That movie's garbage.
Then we are moving to the 2002 Halloween, which is Halloween Resurrection, also known as Halloween 8 Resurrection. This is a film that stars Busta Rhymes. If you were familiar with hip-hop lore, Busta Rhymes is right up there at the top. This is the 8th installment in the Halloween series, and basically involves Michael Myers' home being used for a live internet horror show. And you can imagine what live internet horror looked like in 2002. Yes, it's that dated. Moving on to number 9 on the list is Halloween 5, Revenge of Michael Myers. Now, I will say this. Halloween 5 and Halloween 4 are basically the exact same goddamn film. They just essentially remade twice. And I don't know if it was because they were afraid that, I just don't know, like, what what exactly the point of it was, other than like maybe they were afraid, Dr. Loomis was going to die, or like I don't know what it was. But anyway, Halloween 5.
Well, Donald Pleasance. I mean, when did Donald Pleasance pass away?
I don't know.
Recently.
Yeah, it was pretty recent. Okay. Yeah, this one essentially involves Michael Myers' niece, Jamie, in both 4 and 5.
Yep.
And Michael Myers is of course obsessed to track down the niece. Next up on the list is number 8 on the list, which is Halloween H2O. 20 years later, was a pile of garbage, save for LL Cool J.
I was going to say, it's got LL Cool J in it. Not that that's not really saying much.
Speaking of hip-hop lore.
Right.
Moving down the list is number 7 on my list, which is Halloween 2007, the American slasher film written and directed by Rob Zombie. I did actually like this one, even though he did go a little bit heavy.
I liked it.
Yeah, I thought it was not that bad. I think he just spent a little too much time obsessing with the backstory and giving an explicit reason for why Michael Myers was the killer.
Explaining too much.
Yes, too much explaining. All right, moving down the list is number 6, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, featuring oh no, sorry. That's the next one. So Halloween 4 continues, or Halloween 4 is the predecessor, obviously, to Halloween 5, involving the niece. Geez, I can't even remember. Jamie, the niece, Jamie. Moving down.
Okay.
Yes.
Pop quiz. Who is the actress who played Jamie? Now, I will admit, I bailed on Halloween after Halloween 4.
I watched like 5 of these last week. Yeah. So yes, but your question is
Jamie played by the same actress?
No, because she's older in 5 than she is. She's a little girl in 4, and then so then moving further down the list to number 5 is The Curse of Michael Myers from 1995. This one is interesting in that it involves the sort of the lead, save for Donald Pleasance and Michael Myers, is Tommy Doyle, who is played by Paul Rudd, which is funny because it's an incredibly young Paul Rudd, but you do see some of his like comedic, like you can see his sort of comedic talent like very slowly eking out.
So apart from Paul Rudd and
LL Cool J,
well, yeah,
and Busta Rhymes,
did this launch Jamie Lee Curtis, of course,
right?
Did this launch any careers besides those two? Like, because like Nightmare on Elm Street did Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
It's always interesting to find these, and that's one I was not aware of.
In Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, one of the other main characters is the character Don from, and as soon as I saw him on the screen, I was like, oh my God, that's Don from Dazed and Confused. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of there's a handful of actors here and there. Mm-hmm. Obviously Paul Rudd. This was not his first film, but was one of his first films. All right, moving down the list to number 4 is Halloween 3: Season of the Witch, which is really the one that is, for those of you not in the know, is separate and independent from the entire
underrated.
Totally underrated, separate and independent from everything else.
Liz, what's your take on that? Because that's actually a hot take, because I know a lot of people really don't like Halloween 3.
I have not seen most of the Halloween movies. I've seen like the original Halloween. I saw, I guess, like H2O, and then I've seen the Rob Zombie ones. I haven't seen any other ones. I am not a Michael Myers fan.
All right. So moving further down the list to number 3 is Halloween 2.
Yep.
And then number 2 on the list is Halloween from 2018. Right. The David Gordon, Danny McBride film. And then, of course, the number 1 Halloween film is the 1978 slasher film directed by John Carpenter and co-written and co-produced by Deborah Hill. Yep. So that's the list.
Yeah,
It's a lot of film.
there's a lot of movies.
I literally did watch 5 Halloween films last week.
Wow, good man.
Because there was a couple of those I did not remember, and there was a couple of those that I just had not seen. I was sort of like, maybe not quite as complacent as you, Liz, in terms of your love for Halloween, but there was I did at some point lose interest in the Halloween franchise. I had not seen 4 and 5. And turns out for good reason, because 4 and 5 are literally the same movie twice.
Yeah, the problem is, for me, this is where, the problems with franchises, and whether it's Friday the 13th or it's Nightmare on Elm Street or Child's Play, it becomes the rinse and repeat factor of that the villain is always coming back.
Right.
That means you are not going. It's like whoever and certainly, Jamie Lee Curtis comes back multiple times, twice,
right,
in this franchise. They've had to, and even the reboot, they said, okay, we're going to reject everything after Halloween 2,
right,
because it's like, because we recognize that it's a bit of a cash cow. We're only doing it for the money kind of a feel,
right,
up until that point, and the stories don't hold up. You don't remember any of these other characters, like even the niece,
right?
It's like
Jamie. Yeah.
There's nothing indelible about what she is, but Michael Myers is always going to be there,
right?
And it makes and then it's kind of like, why am I watching this?
Well, and the thing is bizarre. And to your point, Eric, is that like once you get around to The Curse of Michael Myers from 1995 with Paul Rudd, because of the rinse and repeat factor, they have to concoct this like entirely different story, which is so bizarre, involving this end of world death cult that Michael Myers is part of, and the death cult is convinced that unless you kill all the members of your family, the world will come to an end.
Yeah, see that's
so you really, really have to start to stretch and go into different directions, most of which do not work whatsoever.
Yeah. Where the power of the first movie was unstoppable killer, but he's a man,
right?
And well, he managed to get up at the end of the movie. Spoiler alert,
right?
Right,
plain and simple.
But that wasn't inconceivable.
No,
and then the second one in the hospital.
Yeah.
All right, and then he comes back, and then you figure you dispatch him at the end of that one, call it a day. But no.
Right. Yeah. Indeed.
Actually, that wasn't the. Yeah, it was the second one where it was the hospital.
Yep.
So who's next?
All right, I think it's either back to you or back to Liz.
Is it?
I think
I'll
it's
go.
you.
All right.
Is it?
Me or Eric?
Either one.
Go for it, Liz.
Flip a coin.
Do it, Liz.
Flip a coin.
Okay. My favorite franchise in the horror
Wrong turn.
No, it's Wrong Turn. Get ready. I'm going to really dive into Wrong Turn 5. Was it the right turn? No.
Nice.
It is the Hannibal Lecter series, based on the character created by Thomas Harris.
Yeah.
So, Hannibal Lecter, cannibal, psychiatrist, all around Renaissance man, yet serial killer and cannibal. Okay, so I've got 6 properties, and here is my ranking from worst to best. Number 6, 2006's Hannibal Rising, where Hannibal is played by a French model named Gaspard Ulliel, and it is a prequel, and it's supposed to tell the story of how Hannibal Lecter came to be Hannibal Lecter that we know and love today. Not good at all.
Okay.
Number 5 is 2001's Hannibal, where Hannibal is played by Anthony Hopkins, who made the role famous. You got some Ray Liotta. You have Jodie Foster did not come back, so you have Julianne Moore playing Clarice Starling, because Jodie Foster said that Clarice Starling wouldn't behave the way Starling is portrayed in this movie because she's not stupid. So that's why Jodie Foster didn't come in. Number 4, I have 2002's Red Dragon. In this one, we also have Anthony Hopkins playing Hannibal Lecter. And this is based on the novel of the same name by Thomas Harris, and it was directed by Brett Ratner.
And that was Ed Norton, right?
Yes, and this is Ed Norton playing Will Graham. And it's pretty much a remake of my number 3, 1986's Manhunter,
Yep.
where Brian Cox plays Hannibal Lecter. And William Peterson, Grissom from CSI, is playing Will Graham. And Tom Noonan plays a super, super creepy killer that Will Graham needs Hannibal Lecter's help. Number 2 is Hannibal, the series that ran from 2013 to 2015, starring Mads Mikkelsen as Hannibal, my favorite Hannibal.
I'm stunned you hadn't put this on number 1.
Not number 1.
Okay.
No. So it's Mads Mikkelsen as Hannibal Lecter, Hugh Dancy as Will Graham, and Lawrence Fishburne as Jack Crawford, director of the FBI. And number 1 is Silence of the Lambs from 1991, which won the Big 5 at the Academy Awards.
Everything
actor, actress, director, film, and screenplay. It won everything. And this is, of course, Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster as Hannibal Lecter and Clarice Starling. And everybody's favorite character, Buffalo Bill. So,
Tuck it.
Played by Ted Levine, the amazing Ted Levine.
Yes.
So,
Liz, where did you put Hannibal again?
Ranking.
Where was Hannibal again in that list?
I put Hannibal as number 5.
Number 5. Okay. Yeah. I think it's about
that one was pretty gory. The Ray Liotta one.
Yeah, because they had like some eating their brains.
Yeah.
But it wasn't great. I didn't hate it, but in the series they addressed that character. That's the Mason Verger character, who was one of the victims of Hannibal Lecter, who was his patient, and Lecter convinced him to tear off his own face. So he's got like a horrible face, and he's been breeding these like monster pigs to eat Hannibal Lecter, and it goes wrong. So it sounds great, but the movie wasn't awesome. But in this series of Hannibal, they do.
That's too bad. But you go. It's one of the all-time stalwarts, and I know how much love you have for the Mads Mikkelsen.
I do.
Hannibal.
I love the series.
So
I've been rewatching the series. Yes, I do love him. He's great, but everybody in it is great, and it is creepy. It takes the characters and it's inspired by them. It doesn't really follow any of the stories from the novels.
Yep.
And then rumor was they were going to do a Silence of the Lambs season, but it got canceled.
Yeah, but that was network
fandom,
television.
It'll get picked up.
Right.
It was like NBC.
Yeah, it was
I
NBC.
think.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So it was sort of pushing the boundaries on what you can show on network television.
It was definitely pushing the boundaries of network television. That is true.
All right.
Eric,
what's our last franchise?
Yours?
My last one is the Evil Dead franchise.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
So my common threads: low budget, comedy, Ash Williams, Bruce Campbell, gory, slapstick, very independent, and the Necronomicon. So the continuity within the series, it's strong. I think because Bruce Campbell's in all of it.
Yeah. Would you call it canonical?
Canonical continuity, absolutely, because it is, because Ash Williams. Actually, he's not in all of them. He's missing from the Fede Alvarez one.
Right.
But I think for the most part they build on the history and the fun of the Evil Dead. It takes a couple of twists, like the first movie and the two movies titled The Evil Dead are not funny.
Right.
In the way that the rest of the series is.
Right.
And that's what I love. I love those.
Two starts to get funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's influenced by The Exorcist, of course, The Three Stooges, Deliverance, Night of the Living Dead, right? So contemporaries, you had stuff like The Reanimator, you had Nightmare on Elm Street, Demons, Night of the Demons, and notable direct influences, Cabin in the Woods, Tucker and Dale versus Evil, Cabin Fever, 30 Days of Night.
Yep.
A lot of these kinds of things where you're sort of alone, trapped with something horribly monstrous that's going to tear your face off. And my rankings go this way, and I think that this is a case where I think they're all good.
Yep.
So my last place one is Army of Darkness.
Whoa.
And partly because I think it swung a little bit too hard to the comedy. I didn't get enough of the scary out of it. I think it was, but it is Bruce Campbell having a hell of a fun time.
Right.
And doing the Klaatu Barada. Oh, God, I forget what the rest of it and then it just completely goes wrong. And it plays up on how stupid Ash is.
Yep.
Right. Hot take here.
Yes.
My number 4 out of the 5 portions of the franchise I have is the 1981 The Evil Dead.
Whoa.
I think it's...
what?
It's still good. It's not as scary. It doesn't hold up as scary as, when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it scared the shit out of me. But this was... now it's a little rubbery.
Yeah.
You kind of know what's coming, and I think for someone who's just wanting to dial into it now, for the first time, because it came in with the reputation of this is the forbidden fruit. This is the movie that's banned in all these countries. Everybody knew about the Evil Dead and how nasty it was. There's a tree rape, and it's like still nasty.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's still a little cartoonish to be super scary.
Okay. All right.
The one that is scarier for me is the Fede Alvarez Evil Dead 2013 movie.
Right, which is just straight up gnarly.
Oh, it is harsh. The whole tongue with the knife thing is just that's hard to watch. That's
okay.
That's audition level nasty.
Yeah.
And they change up a little bit. They change enough of the story up about who the characters are and what's going to come out of it. There's still the cabin in the woods. There's still the Necronomicon. There's still ghouls. There's still the horrible tree thing.
Yep.
But they took the snow globe and they shook it up a little bit. I like that.
Okay.
A good reboot, kind of like the way that Dawn of the Dead rebooted.
Yep.
My second favorite thing is the Ash versus Evil Dead television show from 2015 to 2018.
Wow.
I love this show. Ash Williams.
Wow.
It's like middle-aged Ash Williams, the schlubby idiot Ash Williams, and his daughter Kelly, played by Dina De Lorenzo. The buddy who calls him Jefe, Ray Santiago, who plays Pablo, go around demon hunting and trying to right the wrongs, but Ash can't get out of his own way.
Right.
There are some just unforgettably funny, gory slapstick things. There's a lot of blood.
So
it's really raunchy. There's a part where a cadaver he jams his head. He gets this thing crawls up and it sort of crawls up top of him and then sort of plunges itself on top of Ash's head and stretches out his bum hole. And wearing the guy like a meat hat. It's like really, but at the same time you couldn't stop laughing.
Right,
love that. And that was, I think, in the vein of why I like the series. But the capper, of course, is Evil Dead 2.
All right,
where it's I think Sam Raimi really getting to show off, and this is where the Three Stooges comes in. It's the whole. All those lines like groovy. Who's laughing now? All that kind of stuff. And then he cuts his own hand off and he's talking to himself in the mirror. And the house has got all this puppetry and animation and the things in the basement. It's just fun.
So while we were in sync on Paranormal Activity and the Dead series, I am completely out of sync with you on this one. I totally disagree with this list.
Okay, so what you were doing this?
I think it's Evil Dead 1, Evil Dead 2. I think it's Army of Darkness, then the Fede Alvarez, then the TV show.
Oh, yeah. See,
almost completely the opposite.
Yeah,
Flip totally around. Yep.
So anyway,
that's what I'm thinking.
That's my take.
I just the first one for me is just it's unimpeachable. For all the reasons exactly why you said, because it was the forbidden fruit, because it really was this whole bit of nastiness, because it was this low budget bit of genius. For all those reasons, I think it's the best.
It was
the best out of the series.
Well, the thing that I would say is that I like all 5 of them.
Oh yeah, no, I do too. 100%. I don't think there is this, unlike the last 2 that we talked about, Paranormal Activity and the Dead series. There's no weak link in this series at all.
I think I wouldn't disagree.
Even Army
completely.
of Darkness is just goofy as all. It's not a scary film. But it's part of the pantheon of the whole Evil Dead series. It just ain't scary.
No,
but it's still a great film.
Yeah.
So
there we go. We've done it. We have.
How many?
Nobody
films,
did Puppet Master. Nobody did.
Did you keep a running tally of how many films we covered in total?
Oh my gosh.
I did 17.
I've got.
Oh my god.
Mine was.
I have 19.
12.
No, 20.
Mine's 18.
And I had.
Everybody had. All mine had 6.
Yep. And I had.
Oh, no.
I did 23.
Yeah, that's because of Halloween. Yeah.
That is exactly right.
Right. And you probably actually had 25 because if you included the two
I didn't. Yeah,
Dawn
I
of the
know.
Dead,
I know.
the Living Dead ones that you missed out on. What was the other one that you missed out on the Dawn of the Dead ones? You didn't have Day of the Dead Bloodline?
I didn't have Day of the Dead Bloodline in it yet. I didn't.
And you didn't do the
I didn't do the Zack Snyder remake.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So we will get you the entire list, top to bottom, for all these. What are these series, Eric? Canonical? These canonical horror series. We will get you the entire list. We'll be up on, and I will send you, Eric, my list, so you don't have to try to figure out how I rank these from top to bottom.
Liz, you're going to do the same.
Yep, I will send you mine.
And who knows? We might have to do some other. You know, if we create a dead list of lists, we may have to. Somebody's going to have to do a Nightmare on Elm Street and a Friday the 13th and some of these. Well, actually, I know who can. I can ask Amy to do it because she's already done it.
And we still have to go
and I don't have to watch any more Friday the 13th.
And we still have to go back
to
the,
I'm not watching that.
We have to go back to the Evil Bong series, too.
In an Evil Bong, right. All right. So I think we're running short on time, so we're going to bypass, I think, unless you've got grave digging.
No, I don't. Let's get out of here.
All right. Mike's got little boys who are starving.
Yes.
And that would create a horror movie of its own as they start cannibalizing each other if we don't get Mr. Cannibal back to his house because he is...
Sounds like a new franchise.
Yes. It's like...
Brains.
Yep. What is... There's sort of... It's, what do you do if you... Fratricide mixed with cannibalism is... Fratribalism? Something like that?
I don't know.
Anyhow,
Sounds like a hit movie to me.
Brother on brother cannibalism.
Who's got our tagline to get out of here?
I got it. This is almost could be said about this show. Prepare yourself for the most exciting, mesmerizing, and terrifying 2 hours of your life. That is a tagline for 1991's Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah. There you go. Well done, Liz. Okay, and so everybody, don't forget to rate us and give us a favorite on your streaming service because we could use your support to climb up the rankings because we know we've got a lot of fans out there.
Only good rankings.
Yes,
only good ones.
Or just that's
only
true.
good ones.
Right. If you don't like Mike's, you can hold it to yourself.
That's right.
His opinions, that there's a little bit of hot take in there. But we appreciate everybody listening in. And stay tuned. We're coming up on episode 100 in just
super special
a couple of weeks.
Super special.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you later.